Houston residents, your federal flood insurance rates are misleading. In today's video, I'm going to show you exactly why they're misleading, how to get your future rates, and what you can do about lowering your flood insurance costs in the Houston area. So if you live in Katy, Texas, Sugar Land, League City, Woodlands, any of these areas or surrounding areas, then this video is for you. So let's get started. But before we do, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to hit share, subscribe, and like the channel below so you can get up-to-date content for Houston flood insurance and others can find that same valuable information. Hi, I'm Chris with the Flood Insurance Guru. More than a decade ago, I bought a house in a high-risk flood zone, just like this right here. Getting ready to close. My premiums skyrocket. I'm in the wrong flood zone. I've been given the wrong information by my insurance agent. My closing's about to fall apart. I almost lose the house. This is just one reason why I've been helping Houston homeowners like yourself for more than a decade ago now when it comes to understanding flood risks and flood insurance. Today we're talking about those federal flood insurance rates that you're getting on maybe your existing policy and why maybe that policy is not telling you the entire truth. So maybe you just got your renewal in the mail for the federal flood insurance program and you see your rates on there. Oh, that's not too bad, but why does this thing keep going up 18% every year? I just don't get it. You know, the coverage hasn't changed. My risk hasn't changed. My house has never flooded. Those are usually the questions and the answers that we hear from people every day on this. So let's talk about this a little bit. Well, first of all, why does that rate keep going up? Well, you probably have an older policy through the National Flood Insurance Program, probably since 2021 on this particular property. Maybe not you personally, but maybe the owners before you had one. This falls under what's called glide path. And what this means is this rate is going to steadily increase every year until it gets to the full risk premium. You see, and when people go buy a property and they transfer a policy, they look at this rate and, oh, that rate looks awesome. But what they don't look is this one number that can tell them exactly what they can expect to pay for in the future. And that is full risk premium on your policy. You can even see an example here of a policy that shows all the different fees on a policy, and it shows what the full risk premium is going to be. So pay attention to that full risk premium, because that could tell you where your rates are headed over the next 5 years. Now, there's not a whole lot you can do about this with the National Flood Insurance Program. Maybe you can get an elevation certificate to help with mitigation discounts a little bit and the elevation discount. What you could do though, especially in Houston, how things have changed a lot in the last 5 years, is look at private flood insurance. We are seeing significant wins with private flood insurance in the Houston area. And look, historically, this was not the case. After Hurricane Harvey, you had a lot of private companies pull out of Houston with the constant flood problems. You had a lot of people pull out of Houston and the coverages were very limited. Options were very limited. And look, in some parts of Harris County, Texas, they still are. You know, a lot of companies just are not a big fan of Harris County because it's so big and it's so populated. However, we are seeing on average that for $250,000 of building coverage and $100,000 that you get with the National Flood Insurance Program, that on average, you can get it for about 30% less with private carriers. On average right now, the rates that we're seeing are coming in around $800, $900 in some situations on these properties. Now look, it depends on the flood loss history. That can have a big impact on it. Remember, if your property is flooded more than 3 times in a 10-year period, which is severe repetitive loss, which was a lot of properties in the Harris County area, the National Flood Insurance Program typically is going to be your only option here. If a property hasn't flooded in the last 10 years, you might have the option for private flood insurance, but you want to make sure that you disclose those claims when getting that quote, because we see time and time again where people don't disclose, a claim happens and it's not covered. You want to ask the company, do you take properties with losses? What's the max amount that a claim could have been? Do they define it as flood damage? Do they define it as flood claims? Because look, come flood claims time is not the time that you want to find out that you don't have coverage. We see it time and time again. In fact, just this week, we have 2 different times in Houston where customers almost took a policy out with a company because an agent was going to set them up. The problem is the agent didn't disclose the losses and a claim never would have been covered. The whole purpose of flood insurance is if something happens, you're covered. So when it comes to understanding these flood insurance rates in Houston, Texas, you you want to pay attention to full risk premium. You want to take a look at private flood insurance. So maybe you're ready to take those next steps. It's real simple. It's 3 simple steps. Step 1, fill out the form on our website. Step 2, connect with myself or one of our flood risk advisors. Step 3, finalize your new flood insurance policy. But maybe you're not ready to take those next steps yet. The good news is in the description of this video, we've got a guide for you on Houston flood insurance where you can understand the difference between the National Flood Insurance Program and private flood insurance. I'm Chris with the Flood Insurance Guru. Remember, everybody's in a flood zone. It's just a matter of how much water it takes to get to you. Thank you. In a non-coastal area.